Okay, we are consolidating, and I want to call it a healthy consolidation. The reason why I want to call it a healthy consolidation is because, to me, like if you're consolidating above this multi-year resistance line, that's a very, very, very healthy consolidation when it comes to Bitcoin. I think the big question that everybody's asking in the chat is, what's the next move? Is the next move up? Or is the next move down? And I've got some good data. I want to show you the data that shows up and down, and then let's make a call which way it's going. Spoiler alert, I think the next move may be a down move, but we want to talk about that. The other thing I want to talk about today is someone sent me this chart over here. What it is, it's the number of token holders per token. So you can see that it takes every token, ETH, BNB, Tron, and it goes down the list, and it tells you how many people are holding these tokens. And something crazy struck me here. What struck me was how many different people are holding projects which are absolutely dead and probably won't recover in the cycle. Like there are 97.1 million people holding Matic, Polygon. That means that 97.1 million people believe that Matic Polygon is going to perform very well this cycle. Ask yourself a question. Are you one of those 97 million that really believe that Matic is going to perform this cycle? Or are there tokens in your portfolio which should be changed for other tokens? I'm going to show you a list of a whole lot of tokens that people have got in their portfolios. A lot of people have got in their portfolios. Yes, you've got them in your portfolio, and you should be holding other tokens. You shouldn't be holding those tokens, because if you don't change, just simply ain't going to make money this cycle. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at Bitcoin's next move, and I'm going to show you a whole lot of tokens that I would be running away from and that you should be running away from, and which ones we should be buying. So let's pump. Let's get the shot. GM fellows, GM. If you celebrate. Good morning if you celebrate. We've got a big show today, action-packed show today. What did you guys think of the 𝗏𝗀𝗃 interview yesterday? Did you guys actually watch the 𝗏𝗀𝗃 interview? I think it was a brilliant interview. If you haven't watched it, go and check it out. It's on the channel. It's the show before the show. I mean, that guy is an absolute genius, and I really love like spending time with him and those kind of shows. Yeah, today we're going to talk about Bitcoin's next move. Which way it's going to go. I'm going to show you all the data points, because ultimately we have to rely on data. We have to rely, especially on like previous data. That's all we have to work from in terms of where the move's going to happen. And you know, sometimes in crypto, the move is not exactly the move that you want, but you know, if you prepare yourself for the right move and you look at the data points, you could land up saving yourself a lot of money and preparing yourself for the next part of the cycle, which is almost inevitable. And then of course we're going to be switching tokens. Like for one, if any of you are holding Polkadot, we need to talk. If any of you are holding Cardano, we're going to have a long talk today. If you're holding Uniswap, I want to talk to you. If you're still holding GMX, I want to talk to you. If you're holding Cardano, have I said Cardano? I want to talk to you. What else is there? If you're holding Trader Joe, I want to talk to you. If you're holding Cardano, I want to talk to you. What other tokens are there that I haven't spoken about yet? Oh, yeah, so if you're holding Cardano, I want to talk to you. What else? I mean, just look at this list, Josh. Just look at this list here. Celo. 5.6 million people own it. 5.6 million people. Okay, Polkadot. 1.5 million people hold Polkadot. If you are one of those 1.5 million people holding Polkadot, can you explain to me why you still hold it? Please? Just type in the comments here. Just type in the comments here. Then we're going to talk about people that are holding Cardano. And have we spoken about that one yet? We haven't, no. Okay, yeah. So we're going to talk about all of that. So if that sounds good to you, you don't need to do anything. Just sit back, chill. What you can do is you can smash the like button if you like. If you don't like, it's also fun. Someone commented that I drink a lot of water in the show. You got to stay hydrated. Anyway, let's get the show on the road. Let's talk about where we're at, because I think that's where we've got to start the show. So we are consolidating, and as I mentioned to you, it's quite a healthy consolidation. I kind of like this consolidation. Why? Because as I said to you, when you zoom out and you look at where we're consolidating, this is the trend line of Bitcoin since forever, basically. And we are consolidating above this resistance line over here, which is like a healthy consolidation. Generally, you want to consolidate after a move up. Truth is, I expected and I wanted a much bigger move up. Now, we could still get a much bigger move up, because I think in this move up, it wasn't actually a Bitcoin move. So I think because we're moving into the next part of the cycle, the real move actually wasn't in Bitcoin, this move. So yes, we had like a small move from 107 or from this 100,000 range to now this $120,000 range. But the real action actually was in the altcoins, right? And specifically, it was driven by ETH and ETH's relationship with Bitcoin. But you can also see it in the total two. Total two had, I think we said counted it yesterday, 14 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yesterday actually ended green, believe it or not. So like 16 or 17 days of green moves in total too. So maybe like this part of the cycle wasn't really about Bitcoin, and the fact that Bitcoin is consolidating above this line is a good thing for the next move up. And that, you know, the difference, what would this would make it much more of a parabolic move than a straight line move. Anyway, but I want to talk about what the next move may be for Bitcoin and when that next move may happen. I'm going to look at the bull and bear case because it's pointless me just giving you one case. Let's look at the bull case and the bear case, and we'll do it pretty quickly because I really do want to get into the switching of the tokens, because there are a bunch of people out there. I mean, is it politically correct to say retards, or is that not like, you're not allowed to say that, eh? No, you're not allowed to. Okay, I won't do it. I won't say it. Okay, so all of you went very quiet. So very quiet, very quiet. Okay, so long story short, let's look at the next move down and or the next move down and look at what's going on here with the charts. The first thing is, I think we need to talk about ETH's move, because if I've ever seen a parabolic move in ETH, that's effectively what a parabolic move looks like. Like, let's just look at the ETH chart, and let's just look at it in here from here. Just look at the ETH move from June to July. ETH is up since June. ETH is up right now 72% since June. That's a very, very, very fast move. The more concerning part of this move for me is when you look at the RSIs. RSIs is the momentum indicator. It's the sentiment indicator. And look at this. Look at how high the RSIs are. Now, you can choose to ignore the RSIs, but if you go back in history and you look at every time that the RSI was this high and where the RSI crossed over, I mean, that always, not always, but most times corresponded with some kind of dip. Here's another example over here, right? You had the RSIs very high, some kind of dip. Here's another, okay, here we had it, and then here we had the dip slightly later, right? So it's very hard for me to ignore the fact that the RSIs are very, 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 very heated. Just look, I mean, the RSIs haven't been this heated since the 4th of May, 2021, right? That is the last time that the RSIs were this heated. So from that point of view, that does look a little bit scary, right? If you look at the ETH BTC chart, that chart's also been parabolic, right? Exactly the same as here, because ETH has gone up and Bitcoin's also gone up. But ETH relative to Bitcoin also went up parabolic. And again, I go back to the RSIs. Look at how high this RSI actually is. The last time that the RSI was this high on ETH BTC was in May 2021. That was the last time. So we're talking about a market, an altcoin market, that is so overheated that it hasn't been this overheated since May 2021. Now, if you were here in May 2021, you'll know that was around the first top before we actually started to bottom. And we also took the RSIs and we mapped the RSIs for you, the RSIs, the one-day RSIs. And we said, look, every single time that the RSI went above 55 on the ETH BTC pair, you've had a pullback. And this is how big the pullbacks have been: 32%, 12%, 13.5%, 22%, 28%, 51%, 25.5%. So if I look at the RSI here, this RSI here is pretty much telling me that the next move is going to be down. And it would be pretty strange if the RSIs can carry on going up for a long time, but it would be pretty strange if we didn't at some point come back and actually start correcting. You can also see it when you talk about like sentiment on the timeline. ETH was the most hated token for a long, long, long time. Everybody that spoke about it, ETH doesn't work, ETH is broken. Today, you look at the momentum around ETH and it's like, holy moly, the momentum's amazing. ETH is the best thing in the world. The treasury companies are out there. There's about 47,000 clones of 𝗙𝗂𝗪 going on to CNBC every single day and telling us why ETH is the best asset in the world, how it's become the fastest asset in the world because of all the layer twos. So the whole sentiment has very much turned, and that kind of worries me. The same thing is when I look at total 2, right? So I look at total 2, and I look at the RSIs on total 2. Just have a look at the RSIs. Look, bang, The last time the RSIs were even anywhere near this high, correction. Here again, correction. Now, as someone says in the chat here, the RSIs can remain elevated for long periods of time. And I agree with you, but you're talking about a risk to return mechanism, right? And now I'm going to ask you a question. With what you've just seen, and I'm going to show you a couple of other things. Where is the risk? Is there more risk in being long, or is there more risk in being short at the moment? Josh, if you were a trader, let's just say hypothetically, because I know that it hasn't been going that well for you, like, where do you think the risk return is at the moment? The risk reward is? Like, do you think it's better to be long or short in this market? What's more risky in this market right now if you're sitting outside of the market? Very risky to open new longs now, because we don't generally open new longs when the RSIs are very high, and we don't generally open new longs when the fear and greed index is at greed. We generally try to open new longs when people are panicking, not when people are getting greedy and trying to get carried away. Now, look, the greed, in one more tick, we're going to get to extreme greed. This is not the time to be opening new longs, just from a risk return standpoint. The chart that worries me the most out of all the charts that I've spoken about, there's one chart that actually, and charts that I haven't spoken about. There's one chart that actually worries me a lot more than all the charts that I've actually showed you. And that's this chart right over here, right? The Bitcoin dominance chart. So what we know about Bitcoin dominance is Bitcoin dominance has fallen off a cliff. Absolutely, absolutely fallen off a cliff, right? Look at how low the RSI is, because this chart's going down. Look at how low the RSI is here. Now go back and tell me when the RSI was ever this low before. Okay? Here. What happened here when the RSI was this low? There was a bounce over here. You see it went from 39 to 47. And if you look at it here again, there was a bounce. And if you look at it here again, there was a bounce. When will the Bitcoin dominance actually go up again? And that is if the altcoins fall. When will the altcoins fall? If the market starts correcting slightly, the altcoins will fall. So that again says to me the next move may actually be a move that is going to take Bitcoin down. Let me give you another one, right? You've got the Wall Street. If you think about who's been powering this cycle, and specifically if you look at this mini cycle within the cycle, who's been powering it? Well, it's been Wall Street. What started this was ETH, and what started ETH was SBET and Tommy Lee's company BMNR. But what does that ticker stand for? SBET and BMNR, right? They were the two Wall Street entities that started funding this. Now look at what the sentiment is on Wall Street for all the crypto listed companies. Circle is down in the last 3 days. If you look at the crypto related stocks, Circle is down from 263, 25%. If you look at SBET and you look at where it was 3 or 4 days ago, you can see that the demand on Wall Street is down 36%. If you look at MicroStrategy, right? So you look at MicroStrategy, and MicroStrategy is also down 10 or 11%. If you look at the demand for the Bitcoin ETFs, we had the first red day in a few days. We had 100 million outflow in a few days. So what is that telling me? It's telling me that the market is starting to cool down. And you can kind of start seeing it. So Solana was at 204. Solana now back at 121. ETH was at like 3.8. ETH back at 3.6. It's very, very, very healthy to have a correction now in the cycle, so we can move on to the next part of the cycle. What you don't want is a market that you cannot stay in. And the reason why you can't stay in it is because it's just overheated the entire time. You want the RSIs to come down. You want this market to correct so that we can continue into the next part of the cycle. Now, do I think it's going to be a brutal correction? No, I don't. I think we're just going to correct a little bit, maybe 10% on Bitcoin. Maybe they'll get us back down to 110, maybe 105. Not the end of the world. Then we carry on going up into the next part of the cycle, right? So that's the indicators that are showing me that the next move may actually be done. Now let's talk about some of the indicators that actually show me that the next move may not be as down as we think it's going to go, right? And I think the one there is if I look at fear and greed. Generally, before a real correction, I want to get to extreme greed. We're not at extreme greed yet, and we actually haven't been at extreme greed. I don't know if we can say at all. I think here we were at extreme greed for like 1 or 2 days. But we haven't yet hit extreme greeds, an extremely greedy part of the cycle, right? And you can see it over here. If you look at the Bitcoin chart with the fear and greed indicator, which is overlaid here, you can see that we're not really at any point near extreme greed. That's not where we are. The other indicator that's showing me that we're not really in very much correction territory yet is the funding rate heat map. Look at like the funding. The funding is like marginally high, but in general, the funding is pretty neutral, right? Like there's not like, we're not like overheated. The funding is pretty neutral. The one thing that you can see is that there is a whole lot more open interest in the market. There is a whole lot of leverage. Now, usually when leverage goes up, we are going to get a bit of a flush. Like it's inevitable. It happens every single time. You have a spike up and then you have a leverage flush, and you have a spike up and you have a leverage flush. So in terms of the next move, it feels to me like the market is overheated, but I wouldn't say that the market is euphoric. It's heated, but it's not euphoric. And in bull markets, you can actually get to a stage of euphoria before markets actually dump. So do I think that the market's going to dump today or tomorrow? Yeah, I think it could start that, but I'm not panicking. I'm not selling any long-term positions. There's also, if you look at the ETH inflows, ETH inflows are still positive, like, and big numbers. Like ETH inflows are actually beating Bitcoin inflows into the ETF, which means that from the ETFs, there's still a bid when it comes to a thing. I mean, the one other thing that you can look at on your timeline is you can look at sentiment on your timeline. Now, I don't know about your timeline, but if I look at my timeline, the sentiment is pretty hot. Like meme coins are running very, very, very hard. I'm seeing a lot of these tweets. Now, I'm not pointing fingers at Miles. I think Miles is a great guy. But when people start talking about that you can only long one coin for August, and they're starting to look for, what they're doing here is they're looking for altcoin ideas, right? And why they're looking for altcoin ideas? Because they feel rich. They feel itchy fingers. They want to get into the casino, and they want to know which tokens they should be buying in the casino. And so when I see these things, I kind of say to myself, look, the risk versus reward for going long versus the risk for reward for staying out the market and being able to buy cheaper. Right now, it feels to me it really, really, really feels to me like it's probably better to just sit on your hands than to deploy money in the market. Also, if you're sitting on long leverage positions where you're up, take some profits. If you bought some meme coins, because we bought some meme coins, we made a packet. I'll show you in a second. In fact, this is one that we bought. I begged the people in front runners to buy it. It's called MEMECOIN. We bought it here. And look what it did yesterday. If you've made money on these meme coins, and if you've made money on these things, take a little bit of profit so that you have more what's the word I'm looking for? More ammo in the new thing. I don't know if you guys remember this. Let me actually just try and find it for you. Josh, do you remember the 𝗙𝗂𝗪? Do you remember that 𝗙𝗂𝗪 thing we used to have? You don't remember the 𝗙𝗂𝗪? You know, I mean, I don't know. How many of you have been around for as long as the 𝗙𝗂𝗪 has been around, right? What I would be doing now in this part of the cycle is I would be clawing back on my cash positions. I would be just trying to build a little bit of a cash position so that when the market pulls back, I can actually play in the next part of the market cycle, right? It's like rather be in a position where you have cash, then you're sitting in fully deployed, and you know the market is absolutely heated. You lose nothing by actually you lose a little bit of upside, but if you catch a dip and you've got 15-20% cash, that's good. So right now I'm not exactly at 10% cash, but I am aiming to be in quite a bit of cash so that I can capitalize on the next part of the cycle here. So I hope that makes sense. Josh, does that make sense to you, sir? Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, before we get on to the next part of the show, I want to talk a little bit about some of the recent successes that we've had in frontrunners, right? Like, I don't normally talk a lot about what goes on in the channel because I think I've asked a lot of people to already be here. But I mean, what's been going on in frontrunners for the last couple of days has been absolutely crazy. Like, we called this meme coin somewhere over here. It's called MEMECOIN. And by the way, we're still holding a big position. But that was one that I called in my group on frontrunners. And it absolutely exploded. Let me just close a whole lot of these tabs because it looks like I switched things here. But I think what you can see here is, like, really, if you think about what frontrunners actually is, you've got pretty much everything. You've got direct access to me. I'm posting in there every single day. You've got chartists. you've got news traders, you've got technical traders, you've got meme coin traders. I mean, here we go. So this guy, 𝗬rie, who works with us, he's doing a 10K challenge is completed. We got 𝗙coin airdrop. We got 17 million? No, come on. No, he didn't do that, man. No, he didn't. No chance. Anyway, but you can see that there's so much going on here. There's news trading. We're following people's wallets, and we tell you when to buy people's wallets. That's how we knew that you should have bought Athena. Yeah, I was telling the community to buy MEMECOIN, as you can see, and that MEMECOIN 12x, but now it's already 36x since we actually did it. I mean, just look at the brag wall from Kapoor's trades over here. 226%. That's from Nas's trades. 251% returns. Look at this from 𝗙𝗘𝗔𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗘𝗗 trades, all happening in front runners. Guys, in this part of the bull market, you can either try and do it on your own, or you can join a community that is actually winning. And as I said to you before, I think it's the best bet is to join the community. Read this thing here. It's risk-free. If you don't like it within 30 days, you get your money back. It's that simple. I'm not going to keep running this forever. And I think we're going to close front runners again because it actually worked better when it was a closed group. So just try it. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. If it does, amazing. We can do that. Should we talk about the people that don't like to, can we just have a little word about relationships? How many of you feel that you are in bad relationships? How many of you feel like you hold on to bad relationships for too long? Just do you feel that you hold on to bad relationships for too long?
Personally.
You don't, eh? So you just cut your losses. Yeah. So look, on the other channel, we're going to be doing a lot more relationship advice. But as I said to you before, I looked at this chart over here today, and I got the shock of my life. It's this chart over here, right? So what this is, it shows you the tokens, and it shows you how many people are still holding these tokens. And like it's like pretty cool. There's Bitcoin, there's ETH, there's BNB, there's TON, and then as you move down the list here, you realize that there are millions and millions and millions of people holding tokens that the developers have abandoned, the communities have abandoned. There's no trading volume on these tokens. And these tokens still have like pretty big market caps. Now I'm going to use one as an example, which is Polkadot. Like if you go look at Polkadot, if you go look at a token like Polkadot, which is this token over here, right? Polkadot was like one of the darlings in 2017, I think, or 2018. It was the founder, one of the co-founders of Ethereum. His name was Gavin Wood. And he started another chain. And this chain had a very, very, very sophisticated structure where it was one central chain. And then there were side chains, which they called them parachains. And the parachain spoke to the main chain. It's amazing, amazing, amazing architecture back in 1845 when they couldn't work out how to scale things. And they needed like 8 billion trillion different chains to scale. But now the thing is they've worked out scaling. 𝗬rie worked it out. Solana worked it out. Aptos worked it out. And the question I have is why this thing is still valued at $6 billion, right? And why are there, let's just look at how many million, 1.5 million people still holding this token. Now, the one thing I can tell you about crypto and about all technology is that when it comes to crypto, when it comes to new technologies, and in particular a technology like crypto, the market moves very fast and innovation moves exceptionally fast. And what was good in one cycle may not be good in another cycle. Now, the problem is that a lot of people land up marrying their tokens, right? So you hold a token and you try and justify to yourself why this token will actually run the cycle. Why? Because I'll tell you why. Because you have an emotional attachment to it. And the reason why you have an emotional attachment to it is because you bought it last cycle. You made money. When you made money, there was a chemical reaction in your brain. That chemical reaction in your brain was the release of dopamine. And when dopamine is released in a human brain, it is the self-motivation. It's the self-reward. It's the, wow, you're a genius type hormone, right? And then the problem is you started to lose money. But then you held on tight because you felt a connection to this token because you and this token you guys actually went on a journey together. You made money together, right? And so you turned from being an investor to becoming a community member or bag holder. And the longer that you are a bag holder for, the more money you land up losing. And what you start doing to yourself is you start justifying why the token is actually going to recover this cycle. And the reality is, spoiler alert, most tokens don't. There are very, very, very few tokens, I can count them on two hands, how many tokens have survived and have grown from one cycle to another cycle, right? And so it's super important in crypto that you actually rotate from one asset to another asset and from one narrative to another narrative. What was hot last cycle or what was hot in the beginning of this cycle isn't going to be hot the next cycle. And so one of your jobs is to identify narratives and tokens that are going to be good. But another one of your jobs is to identify and to be able to break up with bad relationships. You know what I mean, right? You need to break up with the ones that just aren't going to fulfill the purpose going forward, right? Like you can't be married to someone and you know she's not going to fulfill the purpose going forward, right? You know that, right? So it's super important that you look at your portfolio and you ask yourself, am I one of these ridiculous bag holders? Am I one of these people that is holding on to Polygon that thinks that Polygon may actually recover in the cycle? And if you are, then ask yourself, is your money better in one place or another? Because remember, this is investing. This is not relationships. This is investing. There are no emotions here. When it comes to investing, you are here to make money. That's the only objective of investing, is to make money and to support the chain. That's it. Support the chain in order to make money. You're not here to stand steady and steadfast in solidarity with your community. You're not here for that. You're here for one reason. You're here to make life-changing money. That's it. Nothing else. There's no other reason to be here. Tell me in the chat, why are you here? Josh, why are you here? Because you love your job, sir. Hardest, why are you here? To make money. We're all here to make money. We're all in crypto to make money. Yes, we all love the tech. We love the tech. I love the tech. You love the tech. But I only love the tech because it makes me money, right? And gives me control over my money, coincidentally. So I think if there was a message that I wanted to drive to you guys today is like, don't marry the bags. You need to have conviction and you need to keep asking yourself, am I optimally positioned in this cycle to make money in the cycle? Or am I optimally positioned, or am I unoptimally positioned in this cycle because I'm holding last cycle's tokens? So I want to have a conversation with a few people here, and you know who you are because you know who you are. You know exactly who you are. Let's talk about specifically. Let's talk about specifically like people like GMX. So what's GMX? GMX is a perpetuals exchange. In the last bull market, GMX was the best perpetuals exchange in the market. Really, GMX was an amazing, amazing, amazing perps exchange. But now we have a new perps exchange in the market. It's called Hyperliquid. And if you look at the market shares of Hyperliquid versus the others, right? Hyperliquid now has, Hyperliquid, you know when they say you weren't even born, like when I was a good perps exchange, you weren't even born. When GMX was a good perps exchange, Hyperliquid wasn't even born. But now Hyperliquid is born, and Hyperliquid has a 70.6% market share. So if you're holding GMX, ask yourself a question. Why are you holding GMX? Do you think that GMX is going to reinvent itself and it's going to steal Hyperliquid's market share? Because if you don't, then pretty much what you believe is going to happen to GMX is what you are seeing in the charts. And I'm using this as an example. I'm going to show you a whole lot of other examples. But you need to understand that just because you're in the token doesn't mean it's going to go up. Just because the token used to trade at $90 doesn't mean the token's ever going to go back to $90 or anywhere near $90. In fact, if GMX were innovating and could innovate, then why is their market share now 1.1% in the last 7 days? Because this is technology. And in the early days of technology, there are a lot of experiments. And some work, and they work for a very short period of time. And then the technology moves faster, and new innovators and new builders come to the party. And then guess what? It gets replaced by better, newer technology. And right now, there's a new kid on the block. So if you want to invest in the perp space, then ask yourself, who is going to beat Hyperliquid? Like, I think that there's probably like no one's going to beat Hyperliquid. But if there was one competitor out there that maybe had a tiny little chance right now, Drift. That's it. So if you're in any of the other ones, DYDX, Apex, GNS. Sorry, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Let's have a reality check. Let's have an intervention. You need to break up. You need to cut ties. No more SMSs. Block the number on the phone. Unfriend from Instagram. Okay, no stalking. No looking to see what she's doing, who she's with, what her volume is. It's finished. That you got to cut that relationship. Let's talk about some other ones. So, I mean, in the last cycle, we spoke about ETH as a great chain and the big chain, but now we kind of know that the future of ETH is actually Base, right? Base is pretty much everything that's happening on ETH is happening on Base. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Where would you rather be? Would you rather be in the biggest exchange on Base, which is Aerodrome, or would you rather be with the biggest exchange, Uniswap? Like, I know where I want to be. I want to be where the narrative is moving for the cycle. I've sold all my Uniswap, and I've migrated every single one of my Uniswap tokens into Aerodrome tokens, right? And I'll give you another example, right? And I wonder if we know that Aerodrome is pretty much married to Coinbase. We know that. And we know that Coinbase is pretty much the biggest driver of the ETH narrative. So where do you want to be? One or the other? I've put my money into Aerodrome. Aerodrome's also got a smaller market cap, which means it's much easier for it to double than for Uniswap to double, right? Like, let's look at the market caps here so we all understand this, because I know some people didn't quite understand it. I saw in the comments. So the market cap, the fully diluted market cap of Aerodrome is $1.5 billion. And I think that's a bit high. The market cap of Aerodrome is $776 billion. The market cap of Uniswap is $6 billion. Where would you rather be, honestly? Which one's got a chance of doubling first? Which one's going to probably get more usage? I've dumped my Uniswap and I've moved into Aerodrome, right? In the old days, there was a lot of talk about lending markets, and there were two competitors. There was Compound and there was Aave. Today, when you look at lending, Aave is the entire market. So do you still want to be in Compound? No, because you've now realized that one is accelerating and one is declining and going on the way down. And you want to be backing the winners of the cycle. You want to be backing the biggest narratives and the biggest tokens of the cycle, right? Another example. On Avalanche, there was a DEX. It's called Trader Joe, but they changed the name. What's the name of Trader Joe now? It's actually got a new name. But anyway, we'll call it Trader Joe. That's the old DEX. And now there's a new DEX. There's a new kid on the block. The new kid on the block is called Black Hole. Black Hole was the fastest DEX ever to reach $100 million TVL, or specifically on this chain. It's got $171 million TVL. It's the DEX that was built by Elio, and it's being pushed by Elio and Alex. Okay? Where would you rather be? If you're still holding Trader Joe, it's not called Trader Joe anymore. Let's quickly just look at what it's called. I know that they changed their name. By the way, if your ex changes her name on Facebook after you break up, it's not a good sign. Okay. It's like the ex of the guy that was caught in the Coldplay concert. She immediately deleted his surname. Trader Joe. I forgot. Could someone please tell me what the Trader Joe thing's called? I can't remember. They changed the name of the exchange. Let's look at another one. There's a couple here that I want to talk about here. Let me find a few. In the last cycle, there were a lot of AI plays. There was 𝗫, there was Fetch, there was all those beautiful AI plays. In this cycle, there is another darling of AI. The darling of AI in this cycle is quite clearly Tau, right? So if you would have held Tau, it's up 60% this year. If you would have held last cycle's token, Fetch, you would have been down 50%. The difference is 110%. Because here you're up 60%, here you're down 50%. There's 110% difference here, right? LFJ, that's what it's called. LFJ. Is it LFJ or LFG? LFJ. Yes, let's fucking Joe. Yeah, there we go. Let's fucking Joe, guys. Let's go. Yeah. Let's fucking Joe, guys. Just want to refresh this price. come down slightly today. We made a lot of money on MOMO and we're still holding tight here. Let's look at some other ones where people are a little bit maybe out of touch, we should say, right? So I noticed that there were some people still holding like BNB, Polkadot. Why would you hold Polkadot if you could hold BNB? One has been going down forever and ever and ever, and the other one is always hitting new all-time highs. Look at that chart. Okay. Also, you know with BNB that there's going to be treasury vehicles launching around BNB. They've been announced. And you know that a lot of Wall Street money is going to start coming into BNB. Just work with me on this thesis, okay? So investors invest in Coinbase. And they want to invest in Binance, which is 10 times bigger than Coinbase. But there's absolutely no way for them to invest in Binance, right? If you're in the US and you want to invest in Binance, which is a 10 times better exchange than Coinbase, how do you invest in Binance? Can you tell me? If you're on Kraken, I think BNB is listed on Kraken, but that's it. It's not listed on Coinbase, obviously. It's not listed anywhere. What happens when they list a BNB treasury vehicle? And now all of a sudden, US capital markets can get access to BNB, to Binance. Give you one guess. Give you one guess, because you know, right? I don't have to tell you, you know, right? So that's what's going to happen. They announced a treasury vehicle. I showed you the announcement the other day. They announced a BNB treasury vehicle. I mean, there's a lot of big people behind this treasury vehicle. Now, all of a sudden, Wall Street is going to get access to the BNB exchange and to the BNB chain. Okay, so, and you're still holding, you just remind me again, you're still holding Polkadot. You're one of the, how many holders? Let's have a look here again. How many holders of Polkadot are there again? Polkadot. 1.5 million, sorry. Crazy. Let me give you another one. Okay, this one I'm going to get a lot of hate for, but I still think it's worth doing. Should I do it, Josh? Okay, I'm going to do it. So, well, let's talk about meme coins first. Meme coins specifically, you have to be holding the right meme coins. If you're not holding the right meme coins, you're not making money. In this cycle, Altcoin and SPX, those are the ones making money, right? And MOMO and MEMECOIN, right? Those are the ones making money. Are you still holding all the old meme coins? If yes, there is a referral link below to a relationship psychologist. You need to go and see her, and she will help you. Her name is Wendy. You know Wendy from Billions. Did you ever watch Billions, Josh? Do you remember Wendy? Yeah, we need our own Wendy here for people holding coins. Someone says, what about Gummy? Gummy's dead, guys. Like, we tried it went, it didn't work. We moved on. We didn't get married to it. We broke up with our bags. Like, we said, okay, we tried, it didn't work. We move on to bigger, better things. Let's talk about like another one, which I think is very important to talk about. Matic. Remember Matic in the last cycle? Every week they announced new partnerships, bro. Partnerships with Adidas, Nike, blah, 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 blah. Right? Where are they today? Nowhere. So you're telling me you'd rather hold Matic than hold Sui? If you do, then that's the Matic chart and that's the Sui chart. Right? Show you one more. But really, it's got to be one more. It can't be more than one more. Cardano. You know why I love this chain? Because in the last 24 hours, the DEX volume was $5 million. Josh, you sneezed $5 million, bro. Their total DEX volume on Cardano in the last 24 hours was $5 million. There's $32 million of stable coins on Cardano. 32 million. Hardest has got $32 million in his phantom wallet. $32 million of stable coins on Cardano. Okay? The NFT volume for the last 24 hours was $21,000. The market cap. $31 billion. Fully diluted valuation. $38 billion. DEX volume. 5 million. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, okay. Also, how many holders are there? How many holders are there? Anyway, look, if you want to pay $30 million for that, $30 billion for that, good for you. I would rather put my money into Ton. Why? Because Ton actually has distribution. They actually launched their wallet yesterday in the United States. It's actually like things are happening on it. I think they've also got more than $5 million. Maybe I'm wrong. Imagine I'm wrong. Telegram. Ton. Where is the $15 million? Okay, at least it's 3 times higher. And the FDV is about half. And the market cap's about 25%. Look, guys, in the cycle, you've got one chance to make money, right? And if you're going to get married to your old bags, you ain't going to take the money with you. It's that simple. So what I suggest you do is look at your portfolio today when you get home. Or if you are home, maybe look at your portfolio now. And what you need to do is decide whether you're holding the most optimal tokens for the cycle. And if not, you should start switching. If you're still holding one of the old perps exchanges, get into Drift or get into Hyperliquid. If you're still holding one of the old dead chains, the Polkadots or the other one that I spoke about, then maybe get into BNB or something, or maybe get into Ton, or maybe get into Sui, maybe even get into Sonic. But don't hold onto your bags hoping that they're going to go up, because they were once here, right? Like don't hold onto your bags because once upon a time they were here. Because remember, the market has no memory. The market has zero memory. The market doesn't remember that GMX was once at $90. The market only remembers where GMX is today. And there's absolutely no reason for GMX to go up or to fly from here. Unless you know something that I don't and they're going to reinvent themselves. Yeah, exactly. Someone says, no, get into ZEX and next hyper. I am in ZEX. Thank you. I am. What's up with render? Not the price. Sui has run too much. That's what you said about Hyperliquid at $11. Look at it now. Can't write off near. No, you can't write off near. That's why I didn't talk about near. Celestia. The biggest holder of Celestia just keeps selling. Say versus Cardano. Yeah, okay. Can we talk about Fartcoin, please? Yes. Fartcoin it's hot air goes up when the markets are going up. I read something on Instagram today that a guy farted under the duvet and he gave his girlfriend brain damage, bro. Did you read about that on Instagram? Yeah, it was crazy that, eh? Yeah. I see we're on the same algorithm. The Instagram's got us, bro. We're on the same algorithm. Yeah, anyway. Just one thing before we go. I made a mistake yesterday when I told you something, and I want to just correct my mistake. So we spoke yesterday about BTCC. Now, for those of you who weren't here in yesterday's class, BTCC is an amazing exchange, and it doesn't have KYC, and you can trade all your perpetuals without any KYC, which pretty much means that right now, anywhere in the world, people can trade. See, the market is coming down. I told you it's coming down, bro. I told you it's coming. I told you in the beginning of the show. Anyway, long story short, they're having this crazy promotional offer where if you deposit, for example, X, you get 10% deposit bonus. So like you deposit $5,000, you get $500, right? And so on and so forth. Now, I said yesterday that you could withdraw the original 5,000 and you could trade on the 500. You can't do that. You have to leave your original 5,000 in. You can trade the 500. So in other words, they just don't want you depositing and withdrawing because then you won't get your deposit bonus. But the trick is that you can still deposit as long as your money stays in the exchange. You can trade on the trading bonus only. Now, this is going to be a limited time offer, so my suggestion is that you actually do it. because this is the crazy offer. It's pretty much like one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Also, yeah, I mean, let's quickly check on our bot quickly. I actually want to see how our bot's doing. Bukele bot is up 32.46% in July. We start on the 1st of July. It's up 32.46%. There are still 64 spaces here if anybody wants to join. But yeah, I mean, as you know, I put some money into it. I've made my 32.46%. If you want to join, we'll put a link below. You got to sign up with the Blowfin link first, and then you got to copy trade the bot. Otherwise, it won't let you do that. Talk about Altcoins' relative strength versus the market. Jordan, I've spoken about it. Right now, the market's going up. The hot air must rise, bro. All right, guys, I will see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.